everyone, it's Piu over at 12 with Tarot, and today I'm going to continue one of my previous videos, which was comparing RWS decks with non-RWS decks and figuring out how to read it in a more intuitive way, as in pick up more from the artwork than the meanings from a guidebook, let's say. I have in front of me 4 decks today. One of them is the Dark Mansion Tarot by Taroteca Studio, which is an independently produced deck. I have This Might Hurt by Isabella Rotman, which is a mass-produced deck. I have the Centennial Edition, the Borderless Centennial Edition of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and of course, I have Mystical Moments by Catrin, Welz-Stein. I'm sure, as you can see from the cards I showed, today we're going to cover the topic of wands. So it's basic. Let's go over some basic things about the wands. The wands are fire, passion, dynamic energy. They are all about movement and will and action oriented, something that makes you do things in the world. So we start with the Ace of Wands, and I'm going to show the RWS version first and the Mystical Moments version second, and then we'll discuss them as we go along. So the first here you see is that there's a wand being held by a hand coming through the cloud. Pretty standard. There's growth, there's flowers. You know, you see this, it's like a gift of a spark of energy, a gift of a spark of creativity. Whereas in the Mystical Moments Tarot, you see the Ace of Wands is a woman who's opening a book, and out of the book is growing a flower, and it's in full bloom. And this gives me the feeling of, the word blooming comes to mind. You know how there are some flowers which, like, the bud grows really slowly and then all of a sudden one fine day the flower is in full bloom? That's the energy that this Ace of Wands gives me. Moving on to the Two of Wands. This is a non-Rider-Waite-Smith aligned Two of Wands. As we all know, she's sitting on a vehicle. She has a map. She has a wand planted here and a wand behind her. And she's looking over at the possibilities ahead of her. A core Rider-Waite-Smith wand shows a man standing on a castle with a globe in his hand, one staff secure to the castle, one staff in his hand. But in the Mystical Moments, we see a woman on a house rooftop holding what looks like earth, looking at the sun. And to me, there's a sense of wistfulness to this card. There's a sense of, she is planning, she is thinking about the future, but she is still very much attached to the place she is from. And there's a sense of wistfulness to this card. Now we come to the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is all about action, moving forward. We've all seen this image a million times. A man stands with 3 swords looking over at his ships. In the This Might Hurt, you have a woman looking over at ships, planning, and she has 3 pens in place of wands. In Mystical Moments, Three of Wands, we see a woman who is standing above a cityscape, holding a ship, looking away from the ship, and she has 3 long braids. And to me, the 3 long braids are what catch my eye in this card. They make me think of the journey that we have to, and how our paths can be winding and long, and maybe not reach the goal in a very straightforward way. It's not the shortest point between A and B, a straight line. So that's what I see from this particular Mystical Moments Three of Wands. Now we come to the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands are very similar in This Might Hurt and Rider-Waite-Smith, so I'm just going to focus on This Might Hurt. You see the 4 wands, you see the flowers, and my keyword for this, which again from Lisa's book Unlocking the Tarot, is milestone. As in, you have achieved a level of success which is to be recognized but not sat upon. Whereas in Mystical Moments, you see a forest scene. There are 4 wands protecting almost this little house, and you see two figures up top, you see birds, you see lanterns. This has more of a celebratory feel to it, and at the same time there's a cozy feel to this card. I feel like it's a little house in the jungle, in the woods, when no one else can find you, and I personally love that idea. So yeah, that's my interpretation for this card. Moving on to the fives. So the fives are about conflict. You see 5 young people, some more intense, some less intense on their expressions. This is from This Might Hurt, where you see the dogs. These ones look aggressive, that one looks playful, that one looks positively happy, that one just looks naughty, right? In Mystical Moments, the 5 of Wands, you see a game of chess, essentially, and the woman is holding one of the pieces close to her, and there's a contemplation on her next move. So this is a more contemplative card for me, that there is struggle, there is conflict, there is something that you need to address. And she seems to be, the chessboard gives me a more strategic vibe to her thought process. Moving on, we have the 6 of Wands. This is, 6s are the peaks of their suit. This one clearly shows a woman who's probably won a cycling contest or something. She's got the laurel wreath, she's got the wand, she looks happy, she has a wreath on her head. Whereas in the 6 of Wands here, in Mystical Moments, you see a woman riding a hummingbird, and she's holding the flower that the hummingbird is sucking nectar from, drinking nectar from. The interesting thing about this 6 of Wands is that the 6 of Wands also is a card of external validation. And here you do see that represented in these tiny, will my camera focus, tiny birds sitting on the branches. And there's something interesting to contemplate here. She's in flight. She is witnessed. But what does the flower mean? I would love to hear our answers in the comments below. We move on to the next card. The 7 of Wands is a struggle, but it's more like standing up for what you believe in, right? The 7 of Wands is a man facing 6 wands, holding a staff. He's very much in a defensive position. In This Might Hurt, this person looks way more backed into a corner for me, and the expression of determination that they have is brilliant. In Mystical Moments, however, it is a show of physical strength, which is very apparent. That's the first thing that comes up to me. I see a man, I see his great mustache, I see all the tattoos on his body, and he's literally bending the bars with his will. So you can take this literally, you can take this metaphorically. This is a show of strength, inner strength, personal strength, to stand up against, let's say, I don't know, societal norms. Then the 8s are the pippiest card in the Rider-Waite-Smith. You see 8 wands flying through the air. Whereas in Mystical Moments, it's a woman who is flying with a collection of umbrellas. There is a sort of, her hair is flying, her skirt's billowing. Her skirt also looks like an umbrella. There's this sense of wanderlust to this card. It's momentum. But again, the sense of speed that comes from this card, this might hurt the 8 of Wands, is absent from this for me. The sense of speed and momentum. This one looks more like she's going where the flow takes her. This gives me a greater sense of focus, if that makes sense. Moving on to the next card, we have the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we see a man standing in front of a palisade, and he is clearly taken a couple of hits, and he looks pensive. In This Might Hurt, again, there's a palisade of pens. He's clearly a writer. This is writer's block. He looks frustrated. He looks like he's not having the best day. In Mystical Moments, very interestingly, you see 9 stitched wounds. She's close to the thorny bush and the rose flower, and she's looking away from it. The pain is very clear in this card, the exhaustion. I got the feeling of, but there's also a subtle determination in her that I see from her body posture. She's not shrinking back, her shoulders are not rounded. There's a quiet determination to this card, which I really like. Finally, we have the Ten of Wands. You see a man holding 10 wands, weighed down. You see his goal inside, maybe. In This Might Hurt, it's clearly a burden on his shoulders, and there's a burden on top of it, and he's trying to do it all. But if you notice the expression, it's one of grim determination. It's not one of defeat. In This Might Hurt, the wands are beautiful flowers. There are wands, and then there's a whole bouquet on her back, which gives me the sense that sometimes even responsibilities that are positive, if we take on too much, can become something that's hard to bear or that's weighing on us. The flowers are very much beautiful, gorgeous, lush, but there's still a weight on her. And her expression, if you can see, is closer to one of exhaustion. Now we come to the courts. Personally, I look at the courts as personalities. I read them very much as personality traits over people in my readings. There are very few times that they have come across very clearly as a specific person. It's not never happened, I would say, but it does not happen very often either. So first we have the Page. The Page of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith is looking up at his staff in, I don't know, a sense of wonder, delight. Then we come to the Page of Wands in This Might Hurt, and you have an individual wearing salamander decorated clothing, playing a guitar. I see the creativity in it, the quiet happiness on her face, like she is learning a new skill and she is having a blast. The Page of Wands in This Might Hurt gives me, the word that comes out is curiosity. This person wants to know everything in the garden they're in. They want to examine the little ants, the little anthills. They want to know it all. Curious to the highest degree. Now we have the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is bold and fiery. The Knight of Wands is bold and fiery. And there's an element of speed in both these cards. The Knight of Wands in Mystical Moments is a person behind a horse jumping through a ring of fire. To me, the Knight of Wands is something who likes drama. And this is pretty dramatic. So that's what I get. He's still bold, he's still fiery, all of those things are there. But he's also a little performative. And that's okay. I mean, it's not good or bad. It just is. And then we come to one of my favorite characters. As a Leo rising, I identify sometimes with the Queen of Wands. She is a badass, in my opinion. She sits on her throne. It doesn't matter what version of her we're looking at. She's got the sunflower, she's got the cat, she's got the salamander, she's got a little crown on her head. And she is just her posture. Again, even in Pixie's art, her posture is forward facing and open. Posture is forward facing and open. The Mystical Moments Queen of Wands is slightly different. She's alluring. She is grand. She's wearing a peacock skirt, and her sunflower is growing brightly, and she's looking at you. And look at her expression. Again, yeah, look at her expression. She is alluring. She invites you to, experience a moment where you can take up maximum space. That's what the Queen of Wands from Mystical Moments gives me. And then we finally come to our last card, the King of Wands. The King of Wands sits on a throne. He's holding his wand. In This Might Hurt, the King of Wands is a woman who is sitting next to her bonfire. She's got a wand in her hand, and she's looking directly at you. And her gaze is, it's a very interesting expression. It's not challenging, but you can't seem to look away from her. So the charisma of the King of Wands comes through for me here. In Mystical Moments, we have the figure of a man beating a drum, which is literally on fire. It is the call to march is what comes to mind. He is a leader people want to follow. He knows his skills. He knows he's got people's skills. He's got the charm. He's got the charisma. And he just marches to his own beat, and people choose to follow him. That's what I get from this card. That was a wrap up on the wands. I'll see you in the next video with cups. I hope you're enjoying this series. Do let me know down in the comments if you want me to make any changes or any additional things that you would like to see. It's really been a pleasure hanging out with you. Bye. See you.